Today marks the official start of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta, available for all platforms. That means PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. We can all get after it this weekend and try out Modern Warfare 2. But before you guys jump out there are some settings that you absolutely have to change to make sure you enjoy the game. Now, you have to pre-order the game to get access to this, but I want to hook you guys up. We're giving away some beta codes. If you would, like the video, and down in the comments, comment what platform you're playing on and what your gamer tag is, and we'll toss you guys a couple beta codes. Enjoy. I hope you learned something. We'll see you out there for the MW2 beta. Ladies and gentlemen, the beta is loaded up. We are ready to dive in, but first, we got to adjust our settings. Now, just to make it clear, I am playing the game on PC, but this video is going to cover a lot of settings that you need to change, whether or not you're on PC or console. It doesn't matter what system, there's settings you need to change to make the game feel smooth, so let's get into it. All right, first go over here. We are going to go straight to controller. If you are playing on keyboard and mouse, then it is going to be vastly dependent on what DPI you're playing on, so please figure out what DPI you're on and then calibrate your sensitivity from there, but I'm playing COD on controller. So first go into controller here. Obviously, you're going to want to mess with your sensitivity. I'm going to play this game probably somewhere between 6.6 and 9.9, but that is very much up to you. Scroll all the way down to gameplay. First thing you're going to want to change is the automatic sprint. Now, there is tactical sprint in this game. It does make a lot of noise, but generally speaking, that's the most popular decision for games with tac sprint. So go ahead and put that on. And for some reason, I don't know if I adjusted this before I recorded this video for equipment behavior, but equipment behavior should be on hold. Otherwise, you're just going to hold a stun in your hand and then you have to throw it again. So make sure equipment behavior is hold. That's the default. And your interact and reload behavior. There is door interaction in this game, and it is an advantage to, for instance, if you're playing S&D, you can door bash a door, turn around, and simply click square to close the door behind you, and it does save you a couple seconds. So I would play on prioritize interact. Otherwise, if you don't like that sometimes square can just reload and sometimes square will activate a door depending on where you're standing, you can simply play on tap to interact, and then you'll always hold to reload. But prioritize interact works well for me. We're done with that. Go ahead and R1 over to advanced. Now, first thing is the aim response curve type. This is by no means mandatory, but this game does have dynamic aim response curve. And if you haven't played on dynamic before, I would highly suggest it. It's very popular, especially in the competitive community. And in MW 2019, it was very nice. So I would try on dynamic. If you don't like it, you can always go back to standard, but that's just a suggestion. Now for your inputs dead zone. By default, they're very high in this game. So what this is how far you have to actuate each stick for it to read an input. And so the lower that you can have this without causing stick drift, the more snappy your gameplay is going to feel. So I would recommend putting this all the way down to 0.03 and then go into a game. And if you are getting stick drift, which is your character moving without you actually trying to make them move, then gradually increase this by 1 until it doesn't move anymore. But generally speaking, you want these as low as possible. Put the max all the way up to 1, and then I've never had an issue with putting the triggers down to 0, but I guess for some reason, if you're going in the game and just shooting like a madman, up your input dead zone for your right trigger. But generally speaking, 3 is the lowest I would go, and 1, and then all the way down to 0. And then adjust from there. And go down to the grounded mantle. So basically this is when the jump button won't make you mantle while you're on the ground. You have to basically jump and then climb again. This saves you, especially if you're jump shotting in this game around objects, that you're not randomly just going to grapple onto a box and climb it and get killed in a gunfight. So I would recommend putting grounded mantle off and then leave this to partial. These are mostly ground war and warzone settings, so they're not going to apply to us too much right now, but I would leave these all as is, especially don't touch sprinting door bash because that matters for multiplayer as well. All right, we are done with the controller. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. Lock in, boys. If you are on console, there's going to be some of these settings that do not apply to you, but the ones that do, you need to get them right to make sure your game looks good. So here we go. Display mode for my PC, guys, it's full screen. Make sure that your screen refresh rate matches the max on your monitor. And I'm playing on 1920 by 1080. If you're playing on a display res higher than that, congratulations. So you're rich and have a nice monitor. Good job. Come down here, make sure VSync is off. The custom frame rate limit, I think so far everybody's playing this on unlimited. Sometimes if unlimited for some reason causes stutters, you can just put it higher than your graphics card is going to pull you. So probably like 280 and just leave it at that. But generally speaking, unlimited should work fine. Come down to here. Brightness is going to be subjective to your monitor. I'm on 51 because that is when the Call of Duty logo in the middle is barely visible for me. And we are done with this tab. R1 over to quality. Make sure we apply that. Now look, if there is one thing you take from this video, it is going to be in this quality panel. Please make sure that the Fidelity FX CAS sharpening is on. It is the one thing about Vanguard that I think was beautiful, and it was a fantastic addition to Call of Duty. It's literally magic. So make sure Fidelity is on and turn that sucker all the way up. It increases visibility like crazy. I can't believe it's not default in a COD game. Make sure Fidelity is on, turn it to 100. That's for my console kids as well. Anti-aliasing, if you're on PC, most people play on SMAA T2X. Filmic just kind of has that soft and blurry look. SMAA might be a little more jagged at first, but I promise you it's easier to see. Nearby level of detail, go ahead and leave that to low. Texture res, I actually play on low or normal. A lot of people play on very low, so if you have an older PC, very low should be fine. But I'm going to keep my texture res normal just because I want the game to look pretty. Texture filter, anisotropic actually stays on high. Particle quality is low. Bullet impacts and sprays, you won't be able to see all your goofy sprays if you turn that off, and it doesn't affect your frames too much. Leave it on. Shader quality is low. Tessellation is off. On-demand texture streaming, go ahead and leave that on. Streaming quality is fine there. Shadow map res, put it on very low, and spot shadow quality on low. Shadows are gonna really cause a big hit to your FPS in this game, so make sure that those are both low. The cache is good though. A lot of people don't realize the cache is our friend, so leave both the caches on. Particle lighting is low, ambient occlusion is off, and SSR is off as well. NVIDIA Reflex low latency, leave this at on. Sometimes on plus boost can cause a little bit of tearing sometimes. So if you're on PC and you have an NVIDIA card, leave it on. Now for all of us, no matter what system you're playing on, please turn the depth of field off. This increases visibility so much. And when you see a clip on TikTok that's a 50-year-old dad playing in the living room, he's always got depth of field on. We're better than that, ladies and gentlemen. Please turn your depth of field off. Make sure world motion blur is off and weapon motion blur as well, and turn the film grain all the way down. This is how this should look. It's not really up for debate. Apply those changes. We're going over to view. Now, this is the very first COD that FOV slider is on PC and console. It is one of the biggest differences between the two, the biggest divide in the community, and yes, it was an advantage. If you are on console, please go ahead and adjust that FOV. In my opinion, the sweet spot is between 100 and 110. For Warzone, some people crank it all the way up to 120, but for multiplayer, visibility is a big part in winning your gunfights. I would recommend anywhere between 105 and 110 is where I'm aiming this year, so I'm going to put it on 107. The ADS field of view. Most people nowadays play unaffected. Now, what this does is if you increase your FOV to 107, the world becomes a little farther away. But when you aim in, it will immediately bring your gun back to 80 FOV. Now, what this does is keeps that recoil default, and there is a lot of recoil in this game. Affected FOV, when you aim in, essentially just brings the gun iron sights or red dot right in front of your already affected FOV. This is going to visually reduce your recoil and make the guns feel like they shoot smoother. I would highly recommend playing on ADS field of view affected. The weapon field of view, I'm not sure if this is something that's on PC or not, but this is kind of a new incorporation into the game. If you've seen, clips of PC Pro Mod and Counter-Strike where it looks like the gun's all the way out here, it actually looks pretty cool and makes you feel like you're running faster. Default's fine, but I would recommend trying out wide as well. There is third-person FOV. If you are grinding those playlists, I'd recommend just turning that up by a little bit. And then this is the big thing in this tab. This is the camera movement. This is the bob. This is the movement while you're running, and it makes the game feel wobbly. Turn this all the way down. The lowest you can crank it is to 50, but I would change the first person and the third person down to 50. We don't want our shit to wobble. Normally we do, but not for our first person camera movement. So turn those things all the way down. And there you go. That's the meat of it. That is our graphics. If you follow those settings, your game should look and feel so much smoother. Last but not least, before I leave you guys to the beta, go in your audio and make sure this is set to home theater. You would think that headphones would be the best if you're gaming with a headset, but I believe so far everybody has found that home theater is the best for hearing footsteps because we are elephants out there right now, boys. If you learned something from this video, hopefully your game feels smoother. I hope you go out there and fry. Drop a couple 40s for me. If you enjoyed it, if you learned something, comment on the video. I'd really appreciate it. This is the first video on the channel, and I'm pumped to be able to release more on this. I hope this helped. I will see you guys out there. Enjoy the game. Peace.